resolute, triumphant, sacrifice, belief. What do these words mean to you? Disoriented, overwhelmed, worthless, powerless. What do these words mean to you? To me, they mean depression. For me, it took me until a while after a message I received from my mother after winning my Olympic silver medal, to which she said to me, "You have some things, a few things in you that I wish that I had in me," that had dawned on me that the champion spirit wasn't just something that you either had or you didn't have, but it was something that rather lied inside each and every one of us that we had to unlock. And for me, when I look back on how many kids found the weight room, they found it as a means to try and bond with teammates or a means to try and get better at a sport. But for me, when I stepped in that place, it took me back to that living room that I had to rush from to the kitchen and a means to try to protect my mother, to which I was met at the throat by the hands of her boyfriend who was high on drugs, foaming at the mouth, bloodshot, lifeless red eyes staring me in my soul. And in that moment, I felt worthless. I felt powerless. I felt overwhelmed. And I felt disoriented because how could this happen to me as a 12-year-old girl? And I made a promise to myself that I would never feel that way again. For in that moment, physically, I was weak and I needed to be strong. So I grinded and I found track and field. And track and field provided all of the things that I needed. For me as a young black gay woman growing up in Charleston, South Carolina, finding a space that allowed for me confidence, a space that allowed for me purpose, a space that allowed for me worth, a space that when I stepped into this ring, within these 7 feet, the only person that I had to protect was myself. That I knew that if everything that I sacrificed, whether it be time with family, parties with friends, events, that I knew that I would triumph, and it showed up in so many ways in the form of 7 state championships, 4 NCAA titles, multiple records nationally, statewide, locally. And then for me, I was faced with an enemy that not only myself, but I found out that even within my black community and many other minority communities that we were not allowed to face. And I learned that after months of feeling like I was drowning, the people that claimed to have cared about me were not trying to save me or at least throw a life buoy to save me. I learned that even in times that the world may see you in a light that is much brighter than the darkness that you are truly standing in, and you stand in that alone. And for me, that darkness came in the form of an intersection. And on January 26, 2018, I did the strongest thing that I had ever done. And no, I'm not talking about bench pressing almost 500 pounds, because I none did it. And no, I'm not talking about squatting 700 pounds, because I none did it. What I'm talking about was sending the text that saved my life, because at that intersection, if I went right, I go home and I continue that chapter. If I go left, I drive my car off the side of the interstate hoping to end that story. I chose to go right. And in that next chapter, I had to face the fact that as an athlete, the 90% mental that we talk about, that I wasn't there. But we didn't focus on it. No one talked about it. And I had to admit to myself that in this moment, mentally, I was weak. And I needed to be strong. And in order to keep that promise to that 12-year-old Raven that said, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that I never feel this way again, that did not just stop at the physical being. That in order for that champion spirit to keep on going and to keep on thriving, I needed to keep going. I needed to keep fighting. And that I did. 2021, I set foot in Tokyo, the biggest stage. And there were two obstacles that I had to face, the physical being and the mental being. The first challenge was easy, the physical. Many people didn't know that I was hurt going into that meet. But I knew the energy that my city was sending me. I knew the promise that I made to my community, that I said to my country and to the city of Charleston that I would bring an Olympic medal back. So when I was faced with injury and when I was faced with challenges and I was faced with competitors, none of that mattered. And I prevailed and I did that. Now the next biggest challenge. And I think back to that text message again from my mother to where she said, you have some things, a few things in you that I wish that I had inside of me. And after coronavirus and losing so many of our loved ones and Black Lives Matter protests and all of these things and our Olympic committee trying to tell us as athletes that none of those things outside of our sport mattered. Someone had to speak up, someone had to say something. And I could not let this moment pass and no one say anything. So in that moment, I stood up. And I raised my arms in the form of an X to try to bring the world together for all people who have felt left behind, for all people who have wanted to be loved but have been loved less. And that next day after, knowing all of the things and the consequences that I could possibly face, that medal being taken away, my title being stripped, it didn't matter because I knew the message that I could carry to the people. And it was more important than that. They could take that, but they could not take this. The next day, my mother, she finally unlocked that champion spirit. After watching her daughter stand up to the world, we sat there and we talked about the house that she would have, and we talked about Avon's Geechee cuisine, like how Big Mama used to do. The food truck. And it was beautiful to see this amazing transition within a woman who initiated my champion spirit. And the next day, less than 24 hours, God called her to her intersection, and she had no other choice but to go left. And what I'm here to tell you guys is that I want you to unlock that champion spirit because it's inside of each and every one of you. And there are three things that I need you to do in order to accomplish that. When you feel disoriented and you feel lost, I need you to set a goal. Anything, some goal, and I need you to pick three things that you know that you can do to help you accomplish that goal, and you stick to it. No matter what gets in your way, you stick to it. When you feel worthless, you set your value. Don't let anyone else determine what your value is. You set that value and you write it down because there is power in the pen. And I want you to post it somewhere, whether it be on your dashboard, whether it be on your wall at work, whether it be in your bathroom mirror, because you need to always see and know your worth, because can't no one take that from you. And when you feel powerless, I need you to fight. I need you to take a step back and be appreciative of the things that you have and the place that you are in life. Because there are so many people right now, especially in this world, that are not here with us today, that do not have the ability to keep living their dreams that we loved. And the best thing that we can do in their memory is to keep their champion spirit alive. And I don't care if you're at home or if you're seeing us at 2 o'clock in the morning or if you're here with me right now. I need you to own that champion spirit. So what is your name? What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? Believe it, own it, and start that championship spirit today.